Welcome to today's Ocean Connector, an opportunity for the ocean community to come together to discuss, learn, share ideas, and make connections. I'd like to thank our Ocean Connector sponsors, Killam Properties, Cox & Palmer, and our founding partner, Irving Shipbuilding. Before we begin our conversation today, I'm excited to share a short video of Stella Maris, a multi-sensor seabed platform that will be launched off the wharfs of COVE. COVE's mission is focused on advancing the commercialization of ocean tech in an effort to bring those technologies to the global market. The Stella Maris is a really good example of what we have to offer in terms of resources.
We've never really seen something this intricate. I could argue that we created one of the most sophisticated ocean-going platforms in recent years.
I hope you enjoyed that preview of the project. And I'm really glad today to have as guests the team developing Stella Maris. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
how you doing?
To get this conversation started, I would like if everyone could, of course, tell everyone who you are, what your role is, and what your role is in this project, and how you contribute to COVE's overall success. And given that we have a veteran on the team with Sheila, I'm going to ask Sheila to go first.
Thank you very much, Melanie. So in terms of Stella Maris, we're really excited to see this happen. It's been something that's was envisioned for quite some time, and it's taken shape and really become what it is today. So it's my role would be largely in, of course, to help secure financing that helps make a project happen, and bring together the partners and the team. So I'm really pleased that we have Bruce, Tom, and Jason as our key delivery partners. So I'll pass it on to Bruce, perhaps.
my name is Bruce McDougall. I'm the project manager for the Stella Maris project. I also contribute technically to the project in an engineering way, and I think the most important thing here is delivering the Stella Maris platform, and I think that'll mean a lot to the whole COVE community, and also therefore to the success of COVE.
Hello, my name's Tom Knox. I'm the technical lead on the Stella Maris project. So I've really been responsible in managing the electromechanical design elements of the Stella Maris and integrating the needs of the tenant companies with what is being applied for and what is being built and supported by COVE.
Yeah, I'm Jason. I'm the data lead. So we like to kind of half joke and say that Tom's responsible for everything wet and I'm responsible for anything dry. So in particular, I deal with all the data communications, storage, QA of all the different instruments on the Stella Maris, which is a pretty interesting challenge because most of these instruments were never designed to work together. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're tying them all together.
Thanks, Jason. And I also see that you're sitting in our Shoreside Operations Center at the COVE site.
Yeah, I am. I'm possibly the first person to actually sit in here and work for an extended period of time. It's a pretty fresh addition to the COVE property. I actually haven't been in the ocean sector for very long. Stella Maris is the first truly ocean project that I've done. However, my background's in physics and computer science, and I actually started my career working in atmospheric physics research and environmental engineering for a good number of years, where I did high energy laser physics in the atmosphere, both here in Halifax and also up in the North Pole at a research station called Eureka. So I'm very familiar with remote sounding, operating instruments in areas that you can't physically access, and all the communication and data troubles that come with it. More recently, I've moved into cybersecurity, which is also very handy in this application because, of course, we want to make sure that this system is hardened and secure, and we're following all the best practices that we should be.
Moving on to Tom. What's your background, Tom?
Well, I have been in the ocean tech space here in Nova Scotia since around 2007, I think. Before that, my background and my training was actually in aerospace. Yeah, I moved to Canada in 2004. I kind of got headhunted into the ocean tech industry, to be honest. That 2007 time, basically because I had fiber optic work on my resume from my time at BAE. the technical nature of my background kind of pulled me back into more of the design and engineering side of ocean tech, which is what I like to do, and I'm doing now for COVE, at COVE on Stella Maris.
That's fabulous, Tom. And I know you've been at COVE even before this project got started, and you jumped on board on this project. So you also have history at COVE. So it's great to see. And now moving on to Bruce. So Bruce, you're a very experienced senior project manager with a long track record. So tell us about your history.
Oh my goodness, I'm very new to the ocean sector, as Jason is. My background is electrical and computer engineering and business. And I've spent most of my career in telecom and computing, both in engineering and engineering management roles. I've gone through lots of experience with fiber optic systems, satellite systems, LAN WAN systems, protocols. So I've sort of moved from that into a more business-oriented role in the last decade or so, or more than a decade now. The sort of thing that links all that together is lifelong learning. It's been a really great time, and you know what I feel is it's very interesting to go into a new sector because I can bring some experience and expertise from outside the sector into the sector, and I've done this a couple of times now, and it's always proven to be both a learning experience but also a very valuable one.
Well, we're really glad to have you on the team, Bruce, and glad that you've been open arms to the ocean tech sector. And lastly, Sheila, so how did you get into the ocean tech sector?
Well, probably a little bit meandering. I started with, so I'm a chemical engineer, and that's, I was always drawn to more use of technology with environmental applications and so on. Right out of school, I went to work with electronics manufacturing, so building servers and that type of thing, more on the process engineering side of things and managing equipment and so on. That was exciting. It was the tech bubble time frame, so it was all about. It was a great experience right out of school, working really hard. But it was all it was about trying to deliver things as fast as possible, get them onto market again ahead of the competitors. That quickly changed when the bubble burst. All of a sudden, paying attention to cost. And then that was outside of Nova Scotia. I wanted to move back for personal reasons, move back to the province. And then an opportunity came up that was back to kind of where I'd been interested, which was working with a program that would fund environmental technologies and their adoption. And that was with the province of Nova Scotia. A big part of Nova Scotia's economy is ocean-related companies. So really got to know a few. And really the step into core ocean tech all the time was probably it came from those relationships. Jim Hanlon would have been, saw how dynamic he was, and he was so we had a great he was a bit of a mentor, and then that was how I stepped away from government into something that was fast changing, working with COVE.
Thank you, Sheila. And so since you've been with COVE for some time, Stella Maris is a really great addition to what we have at COVE. Can you tell me a little bit of how you think Stella Maris, fits within the overall mission of COVE?
Yeah, absolutely. So Stella Maris ends up it's a physical platform, but it's a platform for development. By providing this infrastructure that individual companies can use to their own benefit, so they can use it for test and iteration, so putting something in the water, and that might be something that's in its development cycle, or perhaps that is just about to be released to market and get some operating time and that build the data set in the COVE family or the COVE tenant base. Many companies that have capacity in and specialization in advanced sensors and instrumentation, so allows for that as something to bring the cost down, but then also just make it available to do that type of development work, and also a great place for demonstration. So whether there's a customer that's physically on site, or maybe the customer is distant, that are able to use that as a that companies can use that for showing off their wares, but having the kind of back and forth conversation with customer base about how they might use it. What does it lead to in terms of the customer's applications? How does it fit into their needs? So overall, it would be a matter of I see this as the first of or a big step along the build out of having a variety of technical infrastructure, both onshore and offshore, that is available to the COVE companies, and then also to visiting companies or visiting collaborations with researchers and industry.
So, Tom, you talked about being in this industry since 2007 in the ocean tech industry. You've got a lot of experience. Can you, in your words, tell us what you think the importance of Stella Maris is to the ocean tech community and the public at large?
I mean, I could break it down to some very core fundamental things. Subsea power, subsea communications. We're not talking about deploying cables every now and then when we have to. I mean, it's always there. The power, the comms, real time, back to shore, as we've been promoting in the videos. So subsea power, subsea comms, and then shoreside storage and shoreside access, as per Jason's side of things, and even more on Jason's side of things, then becomes online access and remote access. All of those things certainly combined in a package or a bundle. That's what we're offering the community locally here, the ocean tech community. Everyone wider than that just gets to sit back and watch, really, and enjoy the show.
I think the other great opportunity with the Stella Maris is around the ability to see what's happening underwater, to see technology being performed, to have the operations center, the offshore infrastructure there for any training purposes. We work a lot with the community college, the NSCC, and other academic institutes that are training young people. And so I also see it as a great opportunity to be able to sit back for those training programs and watch what evolution technology is going through underwater. So also another neat dimension to the Stella Maris. So moving on to Bruce. Bruce, you've been managing this project since the fall. From day one. And I'm curious to know what have been some of the major challenges you've seen now until the point of where we're planning to do some testing in the water in the next week or so. Tell us what you think have been some of the key challenges and how they relate to the ocean tech industry, given your now emergence in this sector.
The project is complex. It involved dozens of vendors and critical technical decisions and design decisions, some critical timing on delivery, and it also has a broad scope. So if you look at the core team, at different points we've been designing a building, and the next day we're making decisions regarding database implementations on virtual machine operating systems. And I'm very happy to say that between Tom, Jason, and myself, we have this. It really, I'm not sure how it happened, but we just have this great complementary skill set. So we've been able to do that. So those have been a lot of the challenges. The challenges are to do with just the diversity of it. And but I would say I'd like to also say that we've had great support from local vendors. So the platform, parts of it were actually built at COVE, and other parts we brought in from around the world. So, but we've been very well served by the people who've helped us out locally, and that's worked out very well. I'd just like to add for a moment what Tom was saying about the platform and operations center. We've seen situations where people were sitting in their cars, freezing with a laptop on their lap, trying to do a wet test of some sensor off the edge of the dock. Now we have the operations center, which is warm and dry, and it's got internet service, and it's got power and all that. So that's a real big advantage to it.
And I have to say, the operations center probably has the best view anywhere at COVE, because it's really within a meter or so of the wharf. So you're in a warm, dry place with a great view on the Halifax Harbor.
And access to the seabed platform, which, another thing about that is it's not everywhere you can go and have a whole series of different kinds of sensors in operation in the water and be able to sit there and operate them on this in an operations center close by like that. It's really quite unique.
The team has worked with multiple companies that are within our tenancy at COVE, so our ocean tech companies and other vendors as well. And I think if you tallied those numbers, you're above 25 different companies that have come together to work on this platform. So both in the design, in the build out of it, and then also in the different types of sensors and technologies that are on the platform. Do you want to, anyone from the team want to touch on that aspect of how we've been able to develop this in a very collaborative way?
And we've seen that. We've seen sensor manufacturers very interested in other sensors on the platform, saying, for instance, I have a sensor, but I'd like to know how it reacts to different temperatures and conductivity of the seawater. Well, we have all those sensors on board, so we can actually do sort of comparative, not so much comparative analysis, but if you have a CTD device, well, how does it work if if some other parameter in the water column changes? So there's all kinds of interesting applications here, and I think we're just scratching the surface of it, frankly.
And Jason, so there's just on kind of follow up from that last point, there's a lot of data that's going to be coming from the various sensors. So 15 plus different sensors that are going to be on this platform. There may be more in the future. So how are you looking at the data structure, and how will it be used down the road?
Yeah, so that's been something that's been a pretty interesting aspect of this project. So, like I said earlier, these devices largely weren't designed to operate together. And so developing this platform in a way that right from the beginning is highly modular, both physically and from a software design perspective. We wanted this to be able to support any number of sensors at any time that are getting added and removed every time this thing gets brought back to shore. And we've certainly done that from a software perspective. So there's basically a system in place where we can add a new sensor in a kind of generic way, and it gets fed through our whole data platform, which means that it's available in real time within the access building here. And then additionally, it's going to be made available more, well, I'll say publicly, but publicly credentialed, so that you can access the data in near real time, no matter where you are, from like a website that we're going to be developing, a data site. But how that gets used going forward, I think will be really interesting. I know we've been working with DeepSense out of Dalhousie and IBM, and I think they've been quite excited about this because it's a kind of one-stop shopping for a lot of different data products, and they have all kinds of ability to do really advanced analytics, which is great. And I think we, like I said, kind of provide one-stop shopping for them in a lot of ways. We've got this like dense collection of sensors that are all very different. Some work really well together or support each other quite nicely, which is good. And it'll allow them to do some really interesting things down the road. Kind of jumping back slightly to what I think Bruce and Tom were saying as well, is one of the things I would really love to see is because we're supporting a huge range of kind of device ready to market levels. We've got devices that are already in the market, and then other devices that are very much prototypes going out in this platform. And what I think I would love to see at some point would be somebody trying to diagnose a problem and then being able to use one of the other sensors on the platform to get an answer. I think Bruce actually said something quite similar, but it'd be really cool if somebody was seeing a problem and then noticed that, oh, and actually we only get this abnormality when the conductivity or temperature spikes, or when there's huge acoustic variations going on. I think that to me would be really awesome, because that's kind of what we're providing, is this hands-on real-time access to their deployed sensor in development.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because we noticed that even from our onshore facility, where we have so many different companies with different technologies working together in very different ways, that they're solving each other's problems, if you will, and going forward in the market with different solutions. So the platform, as you talk about, can be another way of doing that, and actually having real data in real time and in situ applications and identify what are each other's strengths or what are some of the synergies between different technologies or different companies, and how can they benefit the market at a larger scale. So it's another analogy of COVE, our facility. You talked about, Jason, Deep Sense with IBM, and the other thing that COVE does is we run a strong internship program, which is about getting young people in the industry, developing the talent pipeline for various companies and so on. And so we're fortunate with this project that we have several interns that are going to be part of it. We'll have some interns on the data side and some interns on the engineering side and so on. So maybe I'll get Bruce to highlight all the interns and what they're going to be working on and what they are working on.
We're expecting, or not expecting, we have hired 6 interns for the project, and so we will have 6 interns working on the Stella Maris project over the summer. They're a diverse group. We have a couple from Dalhousie, a couple from Nova Scotia Community College, a person from Acadia. So they're diverse in where they've come from. They are diverse in the sense that we have computer science students. We have someone from the Ocean Technology Advanced Diploma course at NSCC. We're very much looking forward to having her on board, and as well as CS, CS in engineering. So we have lots and lots of tasks for them to do, and they will be busy all summer. And to me, this is the important part of this is there really is a technological revolution occurring in I think all fields, and we've seen the term digitalization used before. It sort of refers to how every field is becoming more data driven and more dependent on digital technologies. So these students will find themselves at the pointy end of this, and hopefully will launch them into careers where they can take advantage of that. We see this even in primary industries that you would associate with being very traditional. Fishing and agriculture are 2 of them. They are now becoming more and more technological, and having students with the skill coming in with the skills they have, and hopefully their experience this summer will add to that. I think they'll be well positioned to move forward in the economy.
Great. Thank you, Bruce. Anyone else want to add? Maybe Jason, I know you've got some data science students that are going to be working with you. What do you have planned for them?
Yeah, we'll be keeping them pretty busy, that's for sure. One thing that's really nice about the Stella Maris platform is, of course, in the industry, there's this term full stack developer, which is supposed to refer to everything from a database level up to the front end interface that a user would see. The Stella Maris platform takes that to the extreme, because we have basically all aspects of a normal computer science project here. There's interfacing directly with hardware. There's processing raw data, storing it, making it available to people in multiple locations, which includes like a web GUI. So one thing that I think is really advantageous for the students is that if there's an aspect, there's also analytics in there as well, which I forgot to mention. But what's really interesting then is depending on what any given student is interested in, there's a part of this project that we can use their help, which I think will give them a lot of tools. And I would love this to be find out in years future that this is actually kind of a distinguishing mark on their resume, that they've had this hands-on experience that most students wouldn't be able to get. There's not a lot of other projects where you could go from creating digital visualizations to then talking directly to the sensors that you're actually getting data from. I know, me coming out of university, I would have killed for a position like this.
Sheila, you've been involved in the ecosystem in Nova Scotia for some time. And, we're also very involved at COVE in the broader global ecosystem. How do you think Stella Maris fits within that overall picture of the going from Nova Scotia, going global with our ocean tech community?
There's project work and clientele that are all over the globe. And I think what Stella does is it allows for it could allow for development work, and as well as use and acceptance testing or acceptance and feature setting with the companies and their clients. I think it's also a matter of drawing attention. So just the we've had a fair marketing push and sharing, and we've had a lot of strong response. So seeing that is a way of answering those questions. Okay, well, what's happening in Canada? What's happening through COVE, and making those introductions, and that I think leads to commercial opportunities and leads to new academic and research opportunities with the company base. So I think what in a word, the sector is busy. It's very busy. There have been, there are acquisitions that are happening. There are, increasingly companies at COVE are involved in many different sectors. We see any given day looking out the window, there's something different on the jetties or something different on the wharf face. So there's new activity at all times. I'm going to encourage people very much so to check out the on-water technology demonstration days at COVE. So those are coming up in early June. That'll be a big launch for Stella Maris, but it's also a matter of getting a view on, okay, what's the latest and greatest? Well, in terms of technology releases, we're gonna have a good, I think, more than 15 companies demonstrating, which is gonna be very, some of them would be, fairly tactile, very interactive. So it's a good finger on the pulse in terms of what's happening. So that is, you find that information out easily, but it's June 8th and 10th. It's at COVE. So of course we're largely virtual, but in future years we'll be incorporating in-person activities as well as that virtual presence. So that's a great time to see what's happening with Stella Maris, and then also catch up with the ocean sector as a whole.
So the next couple of weeks are pretty busy for the team. We're starting some wet testing in the water off the wharf. And as Sheila mentioned, our official launch is on June 8th on demo day, or the start of demo days. So really excited for that. And thank you to the team for all your work and dedication in this project. And I have to close this off, perhaps one last quote to end this conversation, and it's from Orion Electronics, and it says, "Individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean." And there is no doubt that it takes a strong team to be able to put Stella in the water, and we're all really looking forward to continued success with Stella Maris. I hope you enjoyed today's Ocean Connector with the Stella Maris team and learned about what we have to offer at COVE. You can connect with us at coveocean.com or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn for more updates. Thank you for listening, everyone, and please stay safe.